On today's episode of That Was Us, we'll be discussing Season 1, Episode 7, The Best Washing Machine in the World. William unexpectedly reveals a secret to Beth when they're together. Rebecca and Jack admit that there is a distance growing between them, and Toby strays from his diet. Here we go, friends.
How's everybody doing today?
Wow, how are you?
Good.
I'm doing quite
Welcome back.
well.
It's a beautiful day.
Good to see you guys. It's great to
Likewise.
jump into this washing machine with you.
This episode was beautiful as ever, but uncomfortable.
Yeah, we were talking about that off mic, offline.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, let's start with the beautiful. Let's start with this sort of montage that we have at the beginning of the different washing machines
The eras
of the Pearson
family,
households,
yes.
right? And sort of how it echoes a passage of time, because it's the first time that we get a chance to see the big three as teenagers.
Correct.
Right? Which I was sort of like, it sort of reminded, I was like,
right.
oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Same,
Yeah.
same. It's funny rewatching. You're reminded of things that like happened way earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my recollection was like, oh yeah, like halfway through. I guess this is kind of sort of halfway almost,
Yeah.
but that was sort of jarring to me.
So we meet Niles, Logan,
And
Yes.
Hannah.
and Hannah.
Yeah.
Were they even cast when we first started
No.
filming the
As
show?
a matter of fact.
Oh, I was gonna say no.
Go, Mandy.
As
boy.
a matter of fact, no one really knows this.
Yeah.
But there were 3 other younger
Another
young
age.
people,
Another
another
group.
age.
Yes.
And we actually shot all of the football scenes with them.
Yes.
Okay.
And then it was decided that there wasn't enough of a definitive age gap between
Interesting.
Right.
the younger big 3.
Right.
And these were supposed to be teenagers and take us through that whole storyline and Jack's passing, whatnot. So it was a heartbreaking moment, I'm sure.
Oh.
The realization of these 3 very, very talented young people just for the sake of being a little too young.
Wanted to age them up just
Yeah,
a
they
little
had
bit.
to. They recast Hannah, Logan, and Niles, and this was the first time we
Not
got to work
crazy.
with
And the
them.
rest is history.
Crazy.
Yeah. And they're fantastic.
Yeah,
They're
gosh.
fantastic.
Immediately from the jump,
Yeah.
as our younger big 3 was
Yeah.
too. It's just like it's so incredible again to sort of be reminded of that. Like, wow. These young people really knew who these characters were from the get-go. There was no sort of like training wheels. They just took off.
It took me halfway through the episode to realize that this was the first time we were meeting them.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like I've known them forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen the babies, we've seen the grown-ups.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh yeah, there they are. I was like, oh wait, this is the first time in the series that we meet them.
Yeah, the continuity of character that we've been able to like sort of pull off in that show is kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
Because when I watch it, I'm like, all right, what's Randall doing at this age? What's Randall doing at this? What's grown Randall doing? Like, I don't even see, like, it's just like, it's Randall all the way
Yeah,
through.
1
It's
through
Kevin
9.
through,
That's
Kate
right.
through. It's very cool.
Yeah.
But so we get to this beautiful moment of this montage of washing machines, and we get to this new period of time for the Pearsons. And we also find Jack and Rebecca with a little bit of distance.
Sure.
And we were saying to each other,
Casual distance.
Casual
Pedestrian distance.
what you can call
No fighting.
benign neglect.
Yep. Parallel lives.
Lord of mercy, man. It made
Just
me
missing each other.
made me so daggum uncomfortable
Yeah.
because we all know it.
Yes.
You know? And it's like, gosh, you wish there was some sort of cruise control button on marriage that you could just go like, beep. All right, it's gonna be cool for the next year, so I can go ahead.
The problem
and do
is
this other stuff.
the problem is there is one, and people hit it.
And this is
And
what
that's
happens.
the problem.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're probably right. I mean, like a good cruise controller, everything's
yeah.
fine.
Where the car drives itself.
Yeah.
You want autonomous driving.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
No potholes.
No.
Nothing.
It doesn't
to contend
exist.
with.
So Jack, he says to Miguel later in the episode, because he's about to run out of the house to go to work, and Rebecca's like, Jack, and he's like, oh. And what caught me in particular too, that it was on the cheek.
Yep.
Because I know Jack and Rebecca, they be opening their mouth.
That's right.
Lips be interlocking up
That's
in
right.
that kiss.
That's
I was
right.
like, oh, see, there was just a little cheek, Jack.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't feel right to me. Just like that kiss in and of itself was like, to me, like, something's going on.
Yeah.
So then he goes to work. He's kicking it with Miguel or whatnot. And Miguel's eating this. First of all, John Huertas is so dumb
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so dumb in the most delightful
Yeah.
way, eating his dead sandwich. And is it his secretary?
Yes.
Yeah, someone that works in the office.
2 secretaries. It's
Comes in and she's clearly very flirtatious, and he has no qualms with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so watching Milo as Jack be so bothered.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just really like, oh, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can always tell when Milo does the like back of the hair pat down. It's like, this is, I don't like it.
His
yeah,
hackles are up.
totally.
He's putting them back down.
I don't like what I'm
He didn't
seeing.
like it at all. And so they have a little flirtation. And then she comes back in, and his tie is sort of askew, or his button on his collar
button.
was undone. And so she comes in, does the button, and he looked like, woman, I don't know why you're touching me. He's like,
Yeah.
you
And then
touched-
she said, your wife should have caught
Come
that.
on now.
I was like, excuse me, ma'am.
Let me
I
say-
was offended, like,
Ma'am.
as the character.
Man.
It is not my job to button his shirt, but okay.
Real talk.
Real
talk. And so he mentions that it was the first time they hadn't kissed in a minute. Rebecca has her first rehearsal
Yeah.
in a long time. Really excited, wanting to share it with it. He's busy. He's got a client that he's got to sign tonight. She's got the rehearsal. The kids have the football game. And it just like, it's one of those moments, one of them life moments. And you're like, oh, snap. All right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
How? But we will.
We don't know how, but we'll figure it out. There's a real enthusiasm. First of all, Mandy Moore, when she up there on that stage singing, she's like, oh, I haven't done it in a while. I'm so nervous. And then she's like, la 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 la.
Okay.
Do.
Okay. Side note: I saw Mandy perform at Carnegie Hall a month ago, and she tried to pull the same stuff in front of Carnegie Hall. She's like, she's like, guys, this is not my day job.
It's
This is,
not.
and I haven't done this in a while.
I was watching
And
the
then
episode going, I don't even
I-
remember singing that song.
Hold on.
It's wild.
I'm not done complimenting you.
Oh,
Don't try to bring it back to the episode.
Chris.
I went to the show with a vocal coach and classically trained singer, and he was like, what was she talking about? That was the best sounding voice all night.
Oh,
What is he even talking
golly
about?
Goops.
Killed.
That's not true.
Oh, golly
Killed.
goops,
Golly
guys.
goops.
Jeez,
Sang,
guys.
sang the Forever Now
Did she really?
at Carnegie Hall.
Lord of mercy.
With
I
who?
mean,
Taylor Goldsmith.
You
With
and your
the
husband went and
husband.
did that song.
It was beautiful.
thank
But
you,
anyway, she gets
Chris.
on stage here on this episode
Yes.
and knocks it out of the park.
Totally
again.
knocks it out of the park.
You know what?
The hat, too. I
That's
wanna give
very
props to
kind.
the
Yeah,
hat.
Hala in the costume
Yes.
department, just like reimagining this like iteration of Rebecca was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's also interesting because I feel like this was again our first indication of Rebecca revisiting something that meant a lot to her as a
Yes.
young person and sort of the complications that will arise from that.
Yeah.
In terms of like family and scheduling and
Right.
making that work and Jack's jealousy and
Right.
Yeah.
there's a lot I think that's sort of
Being built into like what's coming
correct
later
that's
on.
percolating.
I heard something on another podcast recently. It's a husband and wife who once a week sit down and talk and record it and put it out there for the world. And it is extremely
boy.
funny and
Oh, boy.
vulnerable and one of my favorite things. But one of the things they mention is nobody tells you when you have kids how much you're going to miss your partner. Nobody talks about that.
You better stop preaching here.
Nobody
We
talks
going
about
to church? Is that what we doing?
that. And
Yeah.
Come on now.
And my wife, Rachel, and I have gone through this episode.
Yes, sir.
Like, and we have a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of done it twice in the last 4 years where you
Yeah.
have to like redefine yourself.
Yeah.
And you get so stuck trying to take care of this human being, and all of your oxytocin is focused on this point that you forget to point any of it at each other.
Yes.
And this is where that parallel living comes up, and it takes active intervention to prevent it. Like you can't just
There's no
figure it
button.
out.
So on my Instagram feed the other day, something came up about like how the transference of oxytocin or serotonin, I can't remember which one, happens with like a 20-second hug or a 6-second kiss.
Yeah,
And it hit me how long it had been since I had kissed my wife
for 6 seconds.
for 6 seconds.
Wow.
And so I kissed her this morning.
Yeah.
And each time like I tried to kiss her, she kept trying to feel like, this is long enough, right? I was like, nope, it's supposed to be 6 seconds. I had to tell her.
You put a timer
I
on
had
your
to
phone.
tell her.
You're like,
I had
hold on a
to
second.
tell
Hold on a
her.
second.
We put an alarm on.
I had to tell her for 6 seconds because man, it is so easy to fall into that benign neglect.
Yeah.
We got 5-6 soccer games this weekend,
That's right.
football games. Anyway,
Yeah.
we can all relate.
Absolutely.
A big part of like what Rebecca is doing in this episode, even Rachel has started to do, is like, okay, I'm done just being a mom. Like she just did her first 5 minutes of stand-up. She enrolled in a vocal workshop. She, no joke, is starting Aikido because she's like, I don't care. I don't care if I understand it or like it. I need to find myself again.
Yeah.
And I've been the same. Like, I'm like, Rach, I got to go back to New York and do some theater. I have to. Like, I have to. Like, and making the space for each other to do that and support each other to do that.
Kudos though for you as an individual recognizing like, I need to do this. Because I think sometimes it's easy just to flail or to continue down the path that you've been going down, but to recognize like, this is truly what's going to feed me, make me a better person, a better partner, and a better parent is wise.
It was one of those things where we need to stop trying to, and I think maybe I've said this on here already, but somebody else is probably on a podcast because all I do is listen to podcasts.
I record podcasts. I listen to podcasts.
We need to stop trying to take care of each other. The reverse of it is the best way for me to take care of you is to take care of myself, right? And to make sure that I have what I need so that I can arrive fully to whatever we're trying to do here as parents.
Self-care ain't selfish, big dog. Self-care ain't selfish. Speaking of, that's a good segue. Can we go into Kate and Toby?
Please.
Yeah.
I think it's a good set. So we see Kate kicking ass and taking names. She is like very diligent in her exercise routine, very diligent in what she's putting into her body, right? Like is really trying to like focus on a path to health and wellness, et cetera.
Yeah.
So they go to the OA meeting. Shout out to Divine Joy Randolph, who was hosting that meeting again.
Academy Award winner.
Excuse me. And they have is it a monthly weighing or a check-in?
Yeah.
Kate had lost 1.25 pounds.
And a quarter.
And a quarter. And she was like, yo, I've been busting my ass. And I got 1.25 pounds. So she's like, all right, it's cool, whatever. I'm not feeling great about it, but it's a loss. Then old Tobias Damon roll up onto the scale. He's like, all right, let's see what we got. You know, don't care about it.
Don't do the walk.
He just, he does a little thing. He walks up there. 8 pounds for Tobias. And he's like, oh, cool. Knowing full well, he's like, Kate ain't gonna be happy.
Yeah, this isn't gonna work.
Like he knew stepping onto. I feel like you tell me. I feel like you stepping on the scale. Like I had the sort of feeling that like I've lost more weight than my girl, and it's not going to go.
This is a lose-lose.
Yeah, she said 8 more pounds. So it's like it's been a good month.
Yeah, and you see Kate just sort of like slip out the back.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, I can't be present for this joyful moment, so let me excuse myself, which I think is not a bad way of dealing with it, right? Yeah. She gets on the phone later. She's like, look, I know I ducked out. I'm sorry about that. Let's get together. I want to see you, da-da-da. Toby didn't answer. Toby always be answering the phone, right? Toby for his girl.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm going to go knock on this dude's door. Clock, clock, clock. Toby opened the door like,
suspicious.
When Toby opened the door and is like standing in the doorway,
I was like, wait, is there someone in there?
Toby, who you got in your apartment, dog?
I thought the same thing.
I was like, don't be doing that.
He had
now.
Sarah Lee.
She goes, he's like, can you come in? Can I come in? And you're like, yeah. And you had bags upon bags.
Yeah. It was a full-on binge.
It was a full-on binge.
It was a full-on binge, which, in a program like that, you kind of set your own guidelines with what it means. If it's a technical OA meeting, your what it means to be sober around food, making sober decisions around food, and he clearly was feeling guilty and feeling like he was going to hide it, and the kind of resentment that comes out in that relationship is that whatever you're doing doesn't work. It's not working for me.
Yeah,
like I'm doing all right. I lost 8 pounds. Like
so kind
of like not allowed, but like what works for some people doesn't work for other people, and you can't force yourself into something that is going to make you resentful.
So do you think like for folks who are going through similar situations, like is it a real sort of thing for him to articulate like what you're doing is not necessarily right for me, even though I know what I'm doing here is not right for me either.
Right.
I have to sort of recalibrate my own path vis-a-vis yours.
I think I can't remember the language he uses, but withholding from myself or
something along
abstaining, like drove him to this. Not being able to indulge, moderately,
sure.
Which he says, but then the props department at the end gives Toby the largest
that cake with at the lunch at the dinner that you guys
marshmallow
went to?
Cookie chocolate.
What was that? I was like, that is a long string of.
It was marshmallow. It was marshmallow. Let's put it this way: it was delicious.
Glad to know.
Is what it was. But I think the further point of like this rupture is that you see. So there's unconscious parallel living that we're talking about, like just circumstances, kind of like sent you down this road. But then there's this situation where Kate and Toby have set out on the same path to do the same thing, and this is the first hint that no matter what they do, that they're going to have to walk two separate roads to get this, which is difficult for a couple.
Very much so. And I think that like what it felt like in watching Chrissy, who is, just for you guys who don't know, Chrissy Metz is one of the most, everything lives right here.
Right on the surface.
Mm-hmm. Like right there on top.
Yeah. So what makes her such an incredible actor.
It's what makes her.
Because she has access to all
yeah. And so like you see on her face, like, oh, well, this is like, you can't keep things from me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if we're going to do this and be together in it, like, I know that I said that this is what I want. And if it's not what you want, but you have to for you to be with me, you have to hide who you are.
Right.
Like, that doesn't work either.
It gets complicated, yeah.
So you guys decide to go on the dinner later on, and you tell her, like, look, I can do this. I can do it my way. And when I'm with you, I will not be a stumbling block for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, okay, so you guys have a healthy dinner, et cetera. Waiter comes by, says, are you guys interested in the menu? You say no. She goes, yeah. And you're like, huh? Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah. I mean, otherwise you may just go home and do it behind closed doors, so you might as well do it here. And it's interesting. I'm glad that you told us it was delicious. And props to the props department, because looking at it, I was like, Lord have mercy. Like, there's a way to like baby toe your way into the dessert department with your girl. But she was like, no, we gonna do it.
It wasn't a piece of cheesecake.
We gonna go all the way.
I'll have the 8 cookie marshmallow tower, please. One spoon.
Just for one.
Yeah. It was full swing.
Yeah. So it leaves you it leaves you wondering, like, I think that the state of Kate and Toby is sort of like, all right, how do we progress from here with this sort of new dynamic that's introduced, right?
It's funny that like everybody seems to sort of be following suit with that idea and theme in this episode.
Yeah.
Because we also get to really experience Kevin and Randall's dynamic for the first time. The root and understanding a little bit more, excavating a bit deeper as to what caused this rift that we sort of experience present day with them.
Yeah. So it goes to the back. We have them in the same bedroom, the two boys, which makes total sense. Randall's studying, Kevin trying to get some sleep. Lights kind of bother him or whatnot. Kev, just being the Neanderthal dude that he is, just throws the football, knocks over the Coke, jacks up my man's homework, and they start arguing with each other.
Yeah.
Mom comes in. Fellas, what's popping? Can we like calm down? He's like, this dude's got his light on. I got a big football game tomorrow, says Kev. He's like, well, I got to finish this homework. And you're like, yo, your brother started football too, so he doesn't have as much time to study. So can you cut him some slack? He's like, Kev's like,
no,
I want to go to the basement. Right?
So now we have active parallel living.
Kev's like, I don't want to be
choice.
Here.
Yes.
I want to be here because here's away from you.
Yeah.
Right? And you see Randall almost immediately like, no, dude, I'll just turn off.
You can stay.
I'll turn it off. I'll go down to the kitchen. It's all good.
The ultimate compromiser.
And he's like, nah, I'm done. And it hit me. It hit Sterling, who played Randall.
Yeah.
Of like, God,
Wow.
dog, bro, I'm trying to do something and you just won't take anything.
It was brutal.
He goes down to the basement or whatnot, and you see the first interaction between teen Randall and Kate.
Yeah.
Right? Just being like, why doesn't he like me?
Yeah.
Right? And Kate's like, you just tried too hard, man. Like, go easy with it. And so you see the first example of Randall going easy, like telling some terrible joke.
Like making fun of his new digs.
Making fun of his place or whatnot. And Kev is just through. He's like, bro, why don't you just leave?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm trying to help. I was trying to be funny. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, nah, man, like, you're lame. I can't remember what he said. But shout out to Logan. Because Logan's one of the nicest young men that you can ever meet. But he captures a dick real well.
Yeah.
Daggers.
That essence of Kevin as a teenager.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was killer. And so before we even get to like the present day story, so Kevin has a football game, and Kevin's like a prospect. He's a quarterback, doing.
But Randall
big
started
things.
playing football this season too.
So Randall started
At a
playing
different
football
school.
too at a different school, and they got to play against each other. Which shout out to Rebecca, who's dressed all in beige.
Yeah.
But with one pom-pom of each color.
For each school, right? And Jack is like, what are you wearing? He's like, I want it to be as neutral as possible.
Smart.
It's very, very
Yeah, she
smart.
figured it out.
Yep.
But watching the football game, it sort of reminded me, okay, let's go fast forward to the future. They're jogging in the neighborhood together.
Yeah.
And Randall's a little bit ahead of Kev, and Kev catches up to run with him. And then Randall goes forward a little bit, and then Kev catches up. And then these cats are just like taking off, you know what I'm saying? So you go back to the football game, and Randall's playing defense. And like one of the first plays, he wallops his brother.
Yeah.
And there are these moments in life when you're like, what I want to do in life, I can't. But because I have these pads on,
That's right.
they like applaud me for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, nothing gives me more joy than to just blast you.
Yeah.
And you see him look at it, you see Kevin look at him like, and Randall's like, yeah. And it happens again, right? And then they just start fighting.
Yeah.
And I remember the days of being testosterone infused, and it's still there. But I'm saying, when you are a teenager,
It's a poison.
the ability to make rational decisions because of this hormone that surges through you,
Messes with your brain.
you have no. I'm just like, fight? I hit. This is what I do.
Don't do that to the mic.
I won't
though.
do that to the mic. I apologize.
Sorry, everybody.
Apologize for
Sorry,
sound.
everybody's
I
fine.
just jacked y'all up. My fault. But it was like Hulk smash. And for an intelligent dude, because it's like everything else that he has tried to this point has failed him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? So these dudes are there. Go to present day, and they're about to go meet their mom for lunch. Kevin's gonna come to Randall's office, and then they're gonna go to lunch from there. Unfortunately, Rebecca can't make it to lunch for some reason or another.
Wait, because Miguel has gout. His gout was flaring up.
So
sorry.
This was just such a
I was like, hold the phone. How did we never bring this back up again in the history of the show?
Well,
There's
Or
a
at
couple
least-
of those.
because early on it was just fuck Miguel. It was just like everybody
I was like, wait, Miguel has gout?
yeah.
What?
I
You
can't.
were
can't.
so casual on the
Yeah.
phone, like, oh, Miguel's gout's acting up again. Oh, it's flaring up. Okay. We'll see you later, Mom.
In a funnier show, that would have been the first in a long line of like phone calls like that. We can't make it because of his
Gout.
because of
gout.
his hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
It's like a new like he constantly is dealing with something
And then the next
embarrassing.
time you see Miguel, he has to walk.
Yeah.
Totally.
And the actor's like, "Would you stop?"
Giving me all these ailments.
Yeah, we're gonna be gone for like a week. We have to.
Sorry,
he
I
has
just
to get
wrote
surgery.
that down.
No,
I
it's
wrote
a good
gout!
Yeah.
Exclamation
It's a good
point.
note.
He has to get surgery for his lazy eye. Like, it was just like such a slam.
Miguel and the holdovers. Which one do I look at?
Yeah. More That Was Us after these words from our sponsors.
Did Did you know that hyaluronic acid naturally occurs in our skin but decreases gradually as we age?
Actually, I am just learning this now, and I'm getting to this skin game a little late. And so now I'm really trying to get in touch with what's going on with my skin.
So for those of us who didn't, it explains why the skin becomes thinner, drier, and more prone to wrinkles as we age, which is where Ritual's Hyacera supplement comes in. Hyacera is clinically proven to reduce wrinkles and improve skin smoothness.
Oh, boys, welcome to the club of caring about your skin as we age. I love Ritual. I love these Hyacera capsules. They're also aesthetically pleasing as well, not just giving me the benefits in my body when I take them. And it's really easy to fit just one extra capsule into your whole supplement routine, as it were.
For the longest time, I've said that the main beauty difference between men and women is lotion.
Moisturizer.
The moisturizer. But
Sure,
now
that makes a difference.
This is how we can moisturize from within.
Yeah.
That's how I look at
The
it.
inside out, as it were.
That's how listen, I'm putting hyaluronic acid on my skin. Why not get it from the inside out?
There you go.
I love this. One daily capsule and you're seeing smoother skin and less crow's feet every day. Plus, Ritual is committed to testing their products rigorously with third-party partners to ensure they are free of allergens, microbes, and heavy metals. So we know we're only giving our bodies the good stuff.
Hyacera is a once-daily skin supplement that is clinically proven to reduce wrinkles and fine lines and increase skin smoothness in 90 days. I wish I had known about this a few years ago before I had children for preventative measures, but I'm telling you right now, listen up. It's never too late to start.
Start Hyacera to help minimize wrinkles without compromising on clean science. Hyacera from Ritual is a clinically proven skin supplement you can actually trust. Get 25% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/TWU. Start Ritual or go ahead and add Hyacera to your subscription today. That's ritual.com/TWU for 25% off. All right, guys, pop quiz for you. How healthy are your scalps?
Yours looks good, Chris.
It's all I got. It's the only hairdo I got.
It looks healthy to me.
Is my scalp. It's a little blown out from my younger days of sun damage, but now I'm taking care of it.
I try to moisturize.
So, despite what you may see on TV, having healthy scalps isn't always easy, even for us. Those of us that have the knowledge and the resources. So thanks to Vegamore, I actually have thicker, fuller, shinier, longer hair without all of those harsh ingredients.
Oh, well, good for you.
You can too.
Let me tell you, that's where the magic of the little pink bottle comes in. Vegamore uses clean ingredients that actually work, y'all.
If you're ready to start your journey to healthier hair and scalp, Vegamore has got you covered. Check out their Grow Essentials Kit. It's packed with awesome products and helps you save money too.
Yeah, I've actually been a longtime fan and user of Vegamore, of their shampoo, conditioner. My goodness, their eyelash serum, their Grow serum helped in postpartum with postpartum hair shedding and hair loss.
How well did that Grow serum work?
Really well.
Really well?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to take it for a spin.
I'm going to go ahead and recommend it.
Okay.
Boom.
Give your hair the power of the little pink bottle with Vegamore. For a limited time, That Was Us listeners get 20% off their first order by going to vegamore.com/TWU and use code TWU at checkout. That would be vegamor.com/TWU. Code TWU to save 20% on your first order. vegamor.com/TWU. Code TWU.
So they're stuck kind of like having to hang with each other. And they're both like, you know, if you have something to do, like, no, I'm free. Like, if you have something to do, no, I'm free. So they go.
Yeah.
And Beth sort of hinted at it before, like, oh, you and Kevin are going to spend some quality time together? Like, yeah, he's my brother. What are you talking about? Yeah. Like, we spend time with each other all the time. It's like, yeah, but you're usually not the only two people there. You're like, well, mom will be there. Anyway, so we get a hint of like what's to come. Kev comes to the office. I love this moment because Randall's in the middle, like he's in his wheelhouse.
Yep.
Where he's the man.
The star.
Where he's the man.
Yeah.
Then in walks the Manny. And all attention goes straight to the Manny. Yeah. Which I think is so interesting because they both have this interesting relationship with each other of oh, everybody loves and sort of revolves around you. And I think everybody loves and revolves around you.
They're both stars in their world.
They're both stars in their world, right? Then they go to this place, and this one was even ice cold for SKB. They're at this place. It's very she, whatnot. It's not necessarily his vibe or what have you, but it's cool. And then Kevin's co-star from The Manny comes up. I was like, yo, what's going on, man? How you doing? It's good to see you. Like, we have to catch up, get together, da-da-da. I'm like, who's that? And he's like, really funny, bro. And I'm like, okay. And then you just see Randall just keep eating.
We find out
Randall has
never seen the show.
Never watched The Manny.
Yeah.
And like as an actor, like you say you relate
that
to
was
Randall.
The moment where I
relate to Kevin. I was like, you ain't watched not one episode of my dadgum show, bro?
Yeah.
He's like, he's a serious regular for 4 seasons.
For 4 seasons. And Justin, seriously, like the way Justin delivers that vibe.
Yes. Oh, my favorite when he was like, what was my character's name? He's like, don't tell him. And turns to the guy next to him.
Was that improvised?
That was improvised.
Of course it was. Of course, I knew it
totally improvised. This is great.
Oh.
So that is also one of the first times that This Is Us went on location. Because while we shot that in LA, the exterior that follows it, we actually went to New York City to
shoot. For that. Just for that scene.
Just for that scene.
Well, so Kevin leaves the restaurant in a huff.
Yeah.
You go chasing after him.
Yes.
Where a fight sort of ensues. An argument that then leads to like a physical altercation.
Correct.
A surprisingly uncoordinated fight.
Well, listen.
For two.
Very coordinated.
It's an actor,
physical,
and a dude who
gentleman.
trades weather.
Listen. The fight, ironically, was a great relief.
Yeah, it was.
From the rest of the episode. I would rather see you physically fight.
Totally.
Than sit and have dinner together. that when you guys actually start fighting, I was like, oh, thank God.
Well, because before, what precipitates the fight is a really heavy conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what's Kev says something about mom.
Because you're black, because you're black and adopted.
Right.
I just remember thinking as I watched it, I was like, oh, these are sentiments they've never really relayed to each other.
Right.
They've talked around it, but never said these exact words to each other.
No, because Kev drops this bar. Kevin sees the Black Manny poster with
Morris Chestnut.
With Morris Chestnut, Mo Nuts. Thank you very much.
Oh.
And he goes like, "Oh, great, replaced by another black man."
Yeah.
And I was like,
"Oy."
I was like, "So you just gonna drop that and not talk about it anymore?" And then he goes on to like, "You always got special treatment," says Kevin. I said, "Because I'm black." He goes, "No, because you're black and you're adopted." Yeah, hit the jackpot with that combination. Couldn't have had it any easier. In our house, you did. With our mother, you did. All right, okay, here we go. Kevin says, "Why can't you just admit it, man?" What?
If you're gonna do the whole scene, let me play Kevin.
You want to play Kevin? I don't do the whole scene. I don't have to do the whole scene. But it is this things that you said that have not been talked about or being talked about for like the first time.
Yeah.
Right? And underneath that too is this idea that like, mom had my back because she recognized that like the person that I was trying to connect with was just ghosting me. Right? And so they get into this fight, right? It gets physical. They get down on the ground. We're mashing each other's face. We're on the streets of New York, and we're careful of like what the urine percentage is on the concrete at that time. I was like, please don't make my head touch the ground. He's like, please don't make mine. And we're like, pushing.
Wait, they didn't clean the ground?
Oh, no, dog. We just laid up right outside of town.
No, Sterling.
Yeah, it's dirty.
Yeah.
It's dirty.
Yeah.
No one came and pressure washed anything
I don't
for
think
you?
so.
Oh, no.
And so one of the beautiful moments, Seth Meyers,
our guest star.
Yes. Walks by. He's like, "Hey, Kev." And he's like, "Oh, hey, Seth. Like, you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah."
You need me to call anybody?
Yeah, you need me to call anybody? He goes, "It's fine. He's my brother." He's like, "Okay." I was like, "Hey, Seth Meyers." And he's gone. And then you hear alarm, like, or siren, police siren. And I love that they kept this. And I was like, "Oh, we should go." And then Randall says, "I'm still black," which is definitely something that Brown said in the moment, because I was like, I don't mess with police. Whether we're playing or not, I was like, we gotta get out of here. Oh, a clip from Seth Meyers.
Hey, everybody, this is Seth Meyers. I remember when I was asked to cameo on This Is Us, my first thought was, I can't believe Fallon said no. But I did jump at the opportunity to do it. I was very excited to work with Mandy Moore again after we collaborated on the film American Dreams.
True story.
Yeah.
Pausing
For applause.
for standing ovation.
No one saw it.
So then I showed up and obviously was massively disappointed that my scene was not with Mandy, but with Sterling and Justin, mostly because they spent the whole night asking me how I stayed in such good shape. And I just had to break it to them. You know, you either have it or you don't.
Or you don't.
I was very excited to get to hang out with Ken Olin.
That's right. That's his last
Because
name.
I'm a huge fan of his. I didn't realize he was the director. And we were hanging out in the tent. And I was asking him about the show Easy Streets, which only ran for 8 episodes, but I was a big fan of. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say Ken had not been asked about Easy Streets for a long time. It was very clear that we were in a fictional universe because Sterling and Justin both recognized me as Seth Meyers, and the people in New York City who passed over the course of the night that we shot it did not. So that was jarring that I'm so much more famous in that universe.
Oh my
than I am in
God.
this
I
one.
can't.
Oh my God.
And overall, though, it was a great experience. I hear about it all the time because it's a show that obviously endures. And so people start over from the beginning. And every now and then on social media, I will get a lovely shout out from somebody who saw the cameo. It was the first time I met Justin Sterling. And that was very lovely. And it was a very cool show to be a part of because it was one of those rarest things that was a hit right away, and everybody really liked it. So I am incredibly grateful to have been a part of it, and I don't want to be too sentimental because especially when you're talking about a show that did genuine human emotion better than almost anything on TV. But if I was being honest about why I am happiest I did it, it's the residual checks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the cold hard
Correct.
cash.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
Make it rain, Seth.
Yeah.
This is us, but that is me. The money. Also, I'm hoping I'm getting paid for doing this.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on.
Yay!
Thank you.
Oh, we love Seth Meyers.
That's-
That dude is so damn
That's
funny, dude.
He's
Seth,
so
Seth
funny.
Myers of the Family Trips podcast
Yeah,
that
that's
he
what-
does with his brother Josh.
Oh, my
wow.
God.
It must have been nice. Remember when he was on TV? Now he does podcasting like us.
Then how he does podcasting like us. He
Oh, is he still on TV? Oh, okay.
He's still on TV for sure. It was what was cool too in that moment because I was talking. I watched SNL. Everybody watches SNL, but I was like, man,
Yeah.
I want to host that show. And I was like, Seth Meyers, what's it like when the guests come on? Like, give me some tips, like just in case like I ever get a chance to do it. And he like started talking to me about, highs and lows,
Do's
things
and
to do,
don'ts.
do's and don'ts, etc. And then as fortune might have it, I don't know how long it was after that episode that I got to host.
Yeah.
And it was so cool, you guys.
Killed it.
I can't even imagine.
I look forward to when we all get a chance to share our mutual war stories over the whole thing. You get exhausted. And I think that's the secret of it. They just sort of exhaust you. So by the time it's 11:30 at night on
Right.
Saturday, you're just like, all right.
Because they don't give you cocaine anymore.
They don't give us cocaine
They
anymore.
used to, but they don't anymore.
Back in if I would have got to host in the 80s or something,
Yeah,
that would have
just
been cool.
coffee.
But
It's
I
just
would have been
coffee.
7.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a great time, and he was so cool, very warm. Done his show a few different times. Genuine,
Yeah, he
cool
is
human being.
One of the best and
Yeah.
truly one of the very funniest people
Hysterical.
I've ever met in my life.
Hysterical.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
If you haven't checked out their podcast, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Very, very funny.
Nice surprise,
What a
producers.
great
Look at you guys
surprise.
surprising the hosts. Look at you.
Yeah, he was definitely a nice little highlight of that
That was
episode.
well done. I'm saying that for the people who are, there's people back here off camera that do things
BTS.
that surprised us. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You can say something. You're welcome. Okay.
Now we have Sam Trammell live. This is your life.
So yeah, that sort of ends with them coming back home and sort of being like, that was the first time that you ever called me your brother. That is the first time that you have like publicly claimed me in our 36 years of life. You've called me Webster.
Yeah.
You've called me all kind of different things, but to hear like a brother come out was cool. And so there's a mirroring of like going to the basement because he got moved to the basement.
And there's a real quick
Yeah.
There's a real quick response that he gives that's extremely healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That sucks.
He just
Right?
says, that sucks.
He does.
He doesn't argue. He doesn't
Yeah.
try to think of a time. Like, and when
Yeah.
we talk about the show being a handbook for
Yeah.
life, like that's how you respond
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
Not defensive.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's well,
Just an
well said.
admission.
We come home, and we'll get into the storyline next, I would say, because we find out that William and my wife have been doing the wacky tobacco, the cannabis, the ganj
Golly.
together. And I was like, y'all getting high together?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool.
And Kev's about to go down to his office, to my wife's office, which is now his bedroom, but he got relocated downstairs. So there's a mirroring of Kevin being in the basement. And he invites Randall to hang out with him. And like you can see Randall, like every fiber is just like giddy. And he's just trying to be like, yeah, okay, that'll be, if you want to. That's
Not a big deal.
If you're cool with it.
Yeah.
And see two brothers. What I loved was honestly two brothers under one blanket. Because you don't get under a blanket with a grown man in no situation at all whatsoever, but with your
Sterling,
brother.
hold on.
You would get
You
under a
are
blanket with
lying to
Sterling?
me if you wouldn't get under a blanket with me while we were watching a movie.
I would get under a blanket
You're
with
lying.
you, but
Thank
you have to be
Thank you.
Close.
very close.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of closeness that's the kind of closeness that I loved about just seeing two brothers
Sure.
sitting on a couch under a blanket,
Absolutely.
enjoying each other's company. Okay.
It was a great note to end it on.
It was a great note to end it on. Who wants to start off the William Beth storyline,
I mean,
which is probably one of my favorites in this thing?
I mean,
Sure.
it is incredible. It is lovely to see them scheming about
Yes.
after the kids go to bed and her baking up a special treat for them.
yeah.
We can talk about Susan's laugh, her high laugh,
We
which
talk about-
rings out through the ages.
Susan Kelechi White, like from the beginning, when she first introduces it, she has this sort of conspiratorial glee of like, so I got some brownies and we can do a little something on the side. Like once we put the kids to sleep and just like, okay.
And
Right.
it's all to help William because the
Yes.
cancer obviously has ravaged his appetite and she
Yes.
wants to get him to eat a little bit
Yes.
and
Exactly. Let's
Then
be
pain
clear.
relief.
Thank you.
And
They
sure,
was-
Then-
I mean, that's how it started.
That's how it started.
Then he eats a little too much, and
says-
accidentally, over the course of the conversation, reveals one of the biggest bombshells of the series
Correct.
in episode 7.
They start talking about this. He starts reciting. She starts reciting the poem.
He does, and she joins in.
He starts reciting this poem, and then thank you very much. She joins in, and she's like, "How do you know this poem?" And she's like, "Oh, this book that Randall's had for the longest time
Since he was a kid.
Since he was a kid." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot I gave that to Rebecca."
Boink.
And then you see Beth be like, go from high to
Sober.
and you see William be like, I've said too much.
He's like, I gotta go. Actually, I think I need to go to bed.
Try to backtrack.
And it is, and that one, I mean, obviously has reverberations and repercussions.
Yeah,
The audience, of course, knows that. We saw that earlier in the season. So the audience is aware that they knew
Right.
each other.
Yes.
There was a bit of a relationship. But we've come to understand that no one else in the universe, save for the two of them,
Right.
know about this
It
existing
became
relationship.
really real.
Yeah.
Correct. And as a viewer, I had forgotten that it happened so early in the series. We were talking about that. Like, so many of these monumental moments that happen in this family's life happen in these first 7
We
episodes
set
so
a lot
far.
of stuff up, man. There's a lot of dominoes.
And we've talked about this before, I think, in previous episodes, but this raises the question, how do you
I was
navigate?
about to ask that. How would you guys have navigated knowing this news? Do you share it with your spouse? Because Beth obviously immediately was like, I have to tell my husband. And he's like, no, you can't. And this would hurt their relationship. You know how much he loves his mother. And she was just sort of like, that's my husband.
Yeah.
How would each of you navigate a situation?
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
interesting because when I think about it from Rebecca's perspective, I think I agree with Rebecca.
Oh, yeah.
But when I think about it from Beth's perspective, I'm with Beth. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
like when I try to think, what would I do in that situation with my son? And I found his father. Do I keep him? Do I not? And this is the exact opposite for me. You have to share.
Here, this is the thing. I would say this. from my perspective, you asked the question, what would I do? I do believe that it is either William or Rebecca's information to share.
Sure.
Right.
So I would talk to them, which I think is what Beth is doing, and being like, listen, this is something you have to tell your son.
Right.
But maybe you put a timeline on it, because if you don't, like, I don't know if I can physically walk around keeping this from my partner.
Yeah.
You know, that creates distance and space and whatnot. So now that I have it, I have to do something with it, but it's really yours
to share.
do first.
Yes.
We have a fan segment this week. Her name is Lindsay, and she talks about a secret that was her mother's to share with her, but her mother didn't. But her grandmother knew. And so her grandmother kind of put her on the clock and saying to her daughter, you have to tell your daughter what we know, because if you don't by a certain time, then I'm going to tell her, right? I think I would operate in a similar sort of fashion, wanting the person whose secret it is to share to be the person to say it.
Sure.
But if they don't, then I'm going to have to let them know.
I feel like I would find it so hard to walk around with that information and not share it with my spouse. But I do agree with you. It's not, I don't believe it was her information to share.
Right. We'll be right back with more That Was Us.
Hey friends, it's time to talk about Talkspace. We have received such a great response to our fan segment. Everyone has something to talk about, and sometimes these are topics that aren't so easy to talk about.
Finding the right therapist can also be tough. And we've all been there, sitting in a waiting room, feeling nervous, and then realizing the fit just isn't right.
Oh, yeah.
That is where Talkspace comes in. It is the top virtual therapy provider, making it super easy, accessible, and affordable to get the help you need. The treatments are personalized, and you can dive into them online anytime. You can even text your therapist whenever you need. And get this, therapy and psychiatry are covered by many insurance plans and employers. Most insured members only pay a copay of $30 or less.
And signing up is a breeze. Get online, get matched with a licensed provider in about 48 hours, and if you need to switch, you can do it at no extra charge. So next thing you know, you're having therapy with a trusted professional from the very comfort of your own home.
And if something comes up between sessions or you just need to keep the conversation going, your therapist is just a quick text away.
My experience with therapy is long running. I've had all different kinds. And the thing that is helpful about it is it's a place to go to be honest and to just hear things out loud. Things that are monologues that are going on in my head all the time, to say them out loud sometimes just takes the weight off of them. And it helps me.
Takes the power away.
It helps me
in
process them. If there's something wrong with your car, you take it to a mechanic. Yeah. If you've got a little squeak in your soul, go talk to a therapist.
Amen.
I love that. As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/TWU and enter promo code SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/TWU and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and to show support for this show. That's Talkspace.com/TWU, promo code SPACE80. So I'm traveling a lot this summer, and my secret is I don't love packing. Sometimes I'm an overpacker, sometimes I underpack. So having the right outfit for a meeting and for vacation and making sure that everything is comfortable can be a challenge. But luckily, there's Quince. It's my go-to for high-quality vacation essentials that I will be packing for all of my foreseeable trips. Plus, there's so many options that are perfect for summer, from European linen dresses and blouses and shorts from $30. There's washable silk tops, premium luggage. I'm telling you, Quince has it all.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Quince t-shirt and pants today.
Very nice.
Very comfortable.
I love that.
But like you're talking about, I just took a trip, and the first thing that went in the bag were 2 pairs of Quince pants and 2 t-shirts, because they are my basics. They are my base layer. And then I just layer on the top of them, with whatever.
Do they compare reasonably well to other sort of brands that you normally use?
Better. They're the best pair of pants I have ever ordered online and put on my body.
Wow.
Boom. Okay, that's what I like to hear. here. Look, the best part about Quince is their price points. Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. It's like having a little secret when you got the perfect outfit and you know deep down you also saved a ton of money.
You're asking, how do they do it? How could they possibly do that,
How?
Sterling? Well, I'll tell you. They do it by partnering directly with top factories. Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to their customers. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes.
I love that. Pack your bags with high-quality essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/TWU for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/TWU to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/TWU.
So in the sum total of it all, where are you guys left as audience members at the end of 107?
I think this tantalizing information of Beth figuring out that Rebecca and William had this pre-existing relationship. They knew each other. It's like, what is going to happen from there? Getting more information about Jack and Rebecca and where they are in their marriage and not sort of being in sync with one another. Like, I feel like this was a very open-ended episode.
Well, it's one of the great examples of the art of the cliffhanger that our show is very, very good at.
I think the only non-cliffhanger which has a feeling of some sort of leading to healing is Kevin and Randall.
That's right.
Correct.
Which feels good.
Yes.
That's right. Because there's a lot of things not to feel great about.
Right.
It's
Yes.
nice to have something like, these brothers are going to be okay.
All these parallel lives, and at least one of them are starting to come back together.
Yeah. All right. Good episode?
Yeah.
Great episode.
I enjoyed it.
Should we do this again?
Let's do it again.
Don't forget to reach out to us
at
thatwasuspod@gmail.com.
Yep. You can also give us a call at 412-501-3028. Leave a message. Let us know what's going on with you, how we may be of service. We're not licensed professionals, but we love to talk.
And listen.
We love to listen.
Rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps us pay for this wonderful production.
A lot of people haven't heard of our show.
And bring these episodes to you. So.
Yeah. If you can give us the support that we need, we appreciate it. I mean that sincerely and also not.
Thank you for listening.
That was
and
us.
thanks for coming together, friends. This was fun.
Always a pleasure, gang.
Likewise.
Till next time, y'all.
Okay, it is time for another segment of our emotional support hotline presented by Talkspace. This has quickly become pretty much our favorite segment, I think, of the show. Immediately.
Yeah.
We are not licensed professionals, remember that. But if you would like to speak to one today and explore that process, check your insurance coverage and visit Talkspace.com/TWU to get started.
It's been amazing. You guys, all the listeners, you guys are amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Ditto, echo, everything you just said. I love it. Let's see who we are talking to today.
Oh, it's Lindsay. Okay, let's hear
Here we
it.
go, Lindsay.
Hi, guys. My name is Lindsay, and I am from Baltimore. I watch your show religiously every week. The relationship between Randall and his birth father is what got me every single time. As someone who did not know their father or meet their father until well into mid-20s, it definitely made me cry every single week, seeing Randall and his journey of having this amazing father, but knowing something was missing. I didn't exactly get the same closure and happiness out of my meeting that Randall did, but just seeing it all come together, really. You know how to make me cry every week, guys. Thank you.
Oh,
Lindsay,
wow.
that's pretty powerful.
Okay.
I'm going to call Lindsay. Lindsay, we got to talk. It's my first phone call, everybody. Mandy and Chris have done the last ones. So here we go. I ain't going to say her number. I'm just going to type it in.
Thank you.
You're
Chris had to
welcome.
learn that
He
lesson.
was like,
Welcome to my life. It just means mumbling to myself. Okay. And somebody be like, what? Nothing.
Wasn't talking to you.
Here we go.
Hello.
Hi, is this Lindsay?
Yes, it is.
Hi, it's Mandy Moore.
And Chris Sullivan.
Hi.
And Sterling Brown. How you doing today, Lindsay?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
We're doing quite all right.
We just listened to your voicemail. Thank you for calling the emotional support hotline.
Your show, I don't know if it was emotional support as so much as the emotional distress.
Oh,
Well, hey, that's we're here to talk about it.
We're here for either one. Do you want to share anything about what it was like meeting your father and how it came to be?
Yeah, definitely. Well, my mom was a single mother. And basically, from what I've been told, is she gave him the choice of, you're either 100% in this or you're not at all.
Yeah.
She basically was like, this isn't going to be a thing where you're here one day and then 3 months you're gone and then you make a promise of showing up and then you don't. She said, you're either in it or you're out.
Yeah.
So obviously he took the out option. So she didn't really share with me anything about him or who he was. Just we lived in a small neighborhood where it's one of those things where you either know everyone or you know someone that knows someone. And
Yeah.
I think it was more of if she told me a name, I would find him
Right.
or I would know someone who knew him and
Sure.
would have the opportunity to reach out myself without her knowing.
Yeah.
And she just didn't want that to happen. So it wasn't until I was around, I think 22, where I was hanging out with people in my neighborhood more and was just, getting into her ear of, okay, but Mom, what if I'm hanging out with a cousin and I don't know it's a cousin? What if I end up liking this person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could get complicated,
important
I don't
information,
want to right. I don't want to start dating a cousin and not know, and that's just strange.
yeah.
Sure.
So my grandmother ended up telling me who my father was, and turned out-
May I ask a quick question? Did your grandmother get permission from your mom, or she just decided it was time that you knew?
well, so I had the conversation with my mom and my grandmother, like, okay, guys, it's time. I need to know a name.
Yeah.
And my grandmother basically told my mom, this is the timeline you have to tell her, and if you don't, by this day,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell her.
All right, Grandma.
And
Okay.
the time came and my mom still didn't want to tell me, so my grandmother did.
Gotcha. Okay. Continue, please.
So then that caused a little bit of an issue with my mom being very upset at my grandmother for quite some time. So that was a whole other thing to deal with. But once I was given the name, then I realized, oh, okay, so I may not have known who this person was or met him, but I actually know people that he's related to. So it turned out like I had a half brother and I used to play with him growing up and I didn't know he was my half brother.
Whoa.
Or one of my friends, her mother had gotten married and the guy she married was my uncle. And I didn't know he was my uncle. So I would do like sleepovers at her house and I would go on vacations with her family and I was on vacation with my uncle.
Holy cow.
This is a complex situation.
It really is. It's like the TV shows.
Yes. Yeah.
So then the last one was I started having my first job, and one of my first days at the job, an older woman walked in and she first questioned, who are your parents? So I
Okay.
told her my mom's name, and then she's like, what about your father? And I said, I don't know. She let it go. She would come in every day when I worked. She always gave me tips. Like nobody gave me a tip, but she gave me a tip every time she came in. She was my grandmother.
I knew it. She recognized you.
Whoa.
She saw.
She knew
she knew
immediately.
indeed. Oh my goodness. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. So once I was
Holy
told a name, then all the pieces kind of fell in place where I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't know any of these people were related to me, but they all knew and just weren't allowed to say anything.
Oh, wow.
Lindsay, do you know now? Like, do you know like, do you see these people? Do you?
So I made arrangements through my friend's mom, who was married to my uncle, to meet my dad. And we're both very shy people, so it was a very uncomfortable meeting of meeting at their house and just kind of staring at a stranger that shouldn't have been a stranger. Then I went to a couple of family functions where I had the opportunity to meet his parents, his brothers and sisters, cousins. That happened a couple of times. Then I went to his mother's funeral, and I was his only child that went to his mother's funeral.
This is the woman who left you tips.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
I only had the opportunity to meet her once, knowing that she was my grandmother. So I went to her funeral with him, and as we were leaving, he said, "I wish I had known about you." And I knew that he did know about me because my mom had finally opened up and told me more stories about encounters where she was like, "I thought he was going to come over and say something, and I thought it was going to start something, but he just kind of like stood back and watched you from afar and left it at that." So I knew he knew about me. So him saying that was just kind of a trigger for me where it just hit me the wrong way.
Sure.
So that was the last time I saw him, was his mother's funeral.
Was that years ago? Was it months ago?
I would say it was probably 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Thank you for being vulnerable enough to share your story with us. That is...
Yeah, not a problem. I mean, like I said, watching the relationship between Randall and William just struck so hard. I've never seen a relationship like that on TV. So then seeing it and being able to relate to it so well. And obviously Randall having a much better turnout of events. I mean, I know William eventually passes away, but he got the time to be with his dad and learn about him and find out why certain things happened the way they did.
Yeah. Some closure.
Yeah. Definitely. So watching it, I was like, okay, I'm glad at least someone got what they needed out of it.
Wow. That's incredibly magnanimous of you, because it could, the reaction could be something different. Like, how come it went well for him and it didn't go as well
the
for
resentment.
me?
Sure.
You're clearly a person who's gone through a lot and has learned how to make peace with a lot. I'm sure you're not completely at peace all the time, but the fact that you are where you are right now, I find kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot, Lindsay.
It is.
Yeah. For a young person to have on their plate and to have dealt with and digested and come out the other end so well adjusted and articulate. And like Sterling said, to just have such a grasp of like the bigger picture is really, really inspiring.
Well, I think knowing my mom's side of the story also, and being older now where I'm able to see where she came from.
Sure.
Because when I found out who my father was, she was basically around the same age that I am now. So I couldn't imagine, there's no handbook of how to handle something like this and how to deal with this sort of situation. So I know in her mind, she was doing the best she could to keep me away from a person that she knew could potentially or would potentially end up hurting me in some way.
Yeah.
So just seeing it from that perspective helps also.
Yeah.
It takes sort of like getting to that age. I think part of the show is like we hold our parents up on a pedestal or expect perfection from them. Then we sort of reach the age that they were or have kids of our own. We realize that we're all human beings making the best decisions that we know how to in real time.
Yes.
And it's nice that you're able to have that level of perspective and just sort of like grace for your mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I will say, I think that's part of what the show helped with also is you get to see Rebecca and Jack together and they're having these children and the process that they're going through. And while they appear to the world as like the greatest parents ever and have everything together, you're watching the show seeing, okay, but these are the real conversations that they were having behind closed doors that not everybody else saw happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard, we grew up in a we meaning us here in the podcast room, in a time where parenting, we often saw the fracture, heard the argument, saw the fight, saw the whatever, but then our parents would make up in private,
Right.
and
Right.
then go about their life
Yeah.
as if nothing had happened, which is extremely confusing.
Yeah, because you don't
For-
see the repair.
Right. You don't see the repair.
Yeah.
And it's like third degree gaslighting for children, because children are like, wait, everything was just a mess.
You guys were not cool a moment ago.
And then you went in this magic
We missed the
bedroom
the moment of
or
everything
office, and
making up.
Yeah,
we heard low
exactly.
talking, and now you're fine? How does that work? The show, in a way, even for me, like watching it, you said the word handbook, and I had said several times that this show is a handbook for living.
You said
Yeah.
that.
Like there's
Definitely.
so many different scenarios. How would I handle this? How do you handle this? How do you handle this conversation? How do you handle this relationship? And the show shows the healthy. It not only shows the destruction, but it also shows the repair,
Right.
Yeah.
which I've always
And maybe sometimes more of the healthy, evolved way to
yeah
sort of
Yeah.
the resolution that we all
Yeah.
should be aiming for.
yeah
And plus, I feel like there's so many different characters with so many different personalities that there's at least one you're going to be able to cling on to where you're like, that's the one that I identify with.
Right.
And
Yes.
just go along with their story and see how they handle certain situations and
Right.
compare it to what you do or have done in the past.
right
Yeah.
right.
Agreed.
Lindsay, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, not a problem.
Thank you for being a rock star. And I hope that whatever happens in the future with your dad and his side of the family, that they learn to recognize what a beautiful human being you are. Because
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
it's his loss right now.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And-
And I have to say thank you to you specifically because, like I said, your storyline specifically, I love the show as a whole, but your storyline specifically with William is really what struck me and what had me watching every week.
Thank you. It's when we're going back and watching it right now, and it's a gorgeous storyline. And to
It
Ron
really is.
Cephas Jones, who I don't know if you knew this or not, the guy who played my dad, he actually passed away last year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I got a chance to spend that time. We're all glad that we got
Yeah.
that chance to spend time with him while he was still here, because he was a beautiful man inside and out. And I'm glad that it resonated with you.
Yes.
And your story is not over, so I
And-
can't wait to hear the rest
Exactly.
of it.
And by sharing, there's somebody listening right now who is being helped
Hearing
by
your
hearing
story.
Absolutely.
And that's
I hope so. I hope something good can come out of it. Just like with the show, with someone going through a situation where they can watch
Yeah.
it and be like, okay, I'm not the only person that has this happening.
yeah.
Correct.
Amen, sister.
Well, thank you again, Lindsay. It was really, really lovely to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us and to leave us such an incredible voicemail.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Have a good one, Lindsay. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.
I'm gonna tell you something, guys. I'm being a bit overwhelmed, but in a way that means this show is allowing people to share things with the
Yeah.
it's there.
This is us on paper. If you read it,
Yeah.
you're like, this isn't real. This is so there's triplets, but one doesn't make it, and they adopt. This isn't real. It's too specific. This is too much. And then you hear a story like this, that if you had written that in and pitched that to like
Right.
someone as a TV show,
They'd
they'd
say,
be like,
"This isn't
that's not real. That can't be
Right.
real."
Yeah.
And there's a broadness in the specificity of This Is Us.
For sure.
Yeah.
Her story was so different from
Yeah.
yours and William's.
Yeah.
But yet she was
could
able to
find her
find
way
her
in.
way in. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And that's the remarkable thing of being a part of a show like this and to have the ability to chat with people after the fact now. We're going back and rewatching the show, but for people to be able to share their recollections, their connection with the show is just, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's amazing. All right. That's another emotional support hotline.
Hello? Oh, you want us to keep doing more of these?
Yes.
Sure. It's Ryan Reynolds. Hold on.
It's right.
Yeah.
From Mint
We
Mobile.
have,
Mobile.
we have unlimited minutes on Mint Mobile. I guess we'll just do these forever then.
Can't wait to see the next movie. All right, Talkspace. Thank you guys for sponsoring this section. It's my favorite.
Me too.
It's my favorite. Till next time. That Was Us is filmed at The Crow and produced by Rabbit Grin Productions and Sarah Wareheim. Music by Taylor Goldsmith and Griffin Goldsmith.